There are places in this world that don't forget, places that absorb pain the way a sponge drinks water, until the walls themselves feel alive. Not alive in a comforting way, but aware, watchful, hungry. We like to believe a home is a sanctuary, a place where we shut out the chaos. But what if the chaos is already inside, waiting in the dark, woven into the wood, and buried beneath the floor? Welcome to True Haunt Lore. If you're drawn to documented encounters like this, subscribe and turn on the notification bell and join the archive. Tonight's case file takes us to a quiet street in Connecticut, where a family, desperate for survival, unknowingly moved into a house with a past soaked in death. In the mid-1980s, a struggling family relocated to be closer to a medical center. Their eldest child was battling an aggressive illness, and the long commute was destroying what little strength he had left. They needed something close, something affordable, something now. What they found seemed like a miracle. A large, old duplex, unusually cheap, with just enough space to hold their family together. But from the moment they stepped inside, something felt off. The air was heavy, stale, like it had been sealed shut for years. Still, they signed the lease. It wasn't until they explored the basement that the truth surfaced. Hidden beneath the house were industrial tools, a hoist, rusted chains, rollers built to carry weight far heavier than furniture. Cabinets held strange chemicals, medical supplies, remnants of something clinical, something final. This wasn't just a house. It had once been a funeral home, and the room chosen for two children to sleep in was the preparation room, where bodies were drained, preserved, and displayed. They should have left, but desperation makes people ignore what their instincts scream. At first, the house didn't attack, it observed. A deep cold settled into every room, a cold that no heater could touch. Breath became visible in the air, even when the thermostat was pushed to its limit. Then, the sounds began. Late at night, when everything should have been still, the basement came alive. Metal chains clanked softly, rollers creaked, as if unseen hands continued a job that never ended. Something was working below them. The eldest child began to change. Withdrawn, agitated, drawn to the basement like it was calling him. His thoughts darkened. Violent images filled his mind. Sleep offered no escape, only deeper fear. A presence began to linger near him. Not seen clearly, but felt, watching, waiting. The house used his condition as cover, masking something far worse behind symptoms no one could fully explain. Then, the environment itself turned hostile. Water would shift color, thickening into a deep red, as if something beneath the pipes was bleeding through. The smell of decay would flood the air without warning, followed by the sharp sting of embalming chemicals. It wasn't one person experiencing it. It was everyone. The line between imagination and reality started to collapse. Then came the physical attacks. A figure lying in bed, suddenly stiff, frozen, as an unseen weight pressed down. Another trapped behind a shower curtain that moved on its own, tightening, suffocating, as if guided by something deliberate. And worst of all, the sense of violation. Not seen, not heard, but undeniably present. This was no longer a haunting. This was something predatory. The breaking point came when the eldest child lost control, turning violent in a way that terrified even those closest to him. He was removed from the house, placed under care, while insisting the actions were not his own. For a moment, the family hoped it would end there. It didn't. Without him, the house grew louder, more aggressive, as if angered by the loss of its focus. Doors slammed, objects moved. The air thickened with something unseen but overwhelming. That's when outside investigators were brought in. The moment they stepped inside, the atmosphere shifted. The basement, especially, felt wrong. Not just haunted, but occupied by something that didn't belong to the living or the dead. The theory that emerged was disturbing. That what happened in that basement, decades earlier, had opened something. A doorway, not for spirits, but for something far worse. Something that stayed. What followed was not a simple cleansing, but a confrontation. As prayers were spoken, the house reacted violently. The air turned foul. The structure itself seemed to groan, as if resisting. And then silence. Not peace, just quiet. Eventually, the family left. But they didn't leave unchanged. The trauma followed them. The fear stayed with them. And the question never faded. Because the house still stands, renovated, reoccupied, quiet on the surface. But some who pass through it still feel watched, still notice shadows that don't belong, still sense something waiting. So tonight, as you lie in your own bed, listen carefully to the sounds your house makes, because walls remember, and sometimes they don't forget. If you've experienced something you can't explain, share your documented encounter in the comments. Like this video, subscribe, and become part of the archive. This has been True Haunt Lore, and the darkness is always recording.
So, after delving into the pure demonic chaos we just explored, the horrifying discoveries in the basement, the terrifying physical attacks, and the chilling realization that this family was living inside a former funeral home, you're probably wondering, what exactly is the vibe at the Snedeker house today? Well, my personal take on this infamous Connecticut home right now is all about its deeply deceptive, everyday charm. If you drive down the quiet streets of Southington today, expecting to find a dark, rotting, Hollywood-style demon house, you will be completely caught off guard. During the daylight hours, this classic white suburban duplex actually possesses a remarkably serene and peaceful aesthetic. Sitting on a quiet residential road, with its simple, historic wooden architecture and well-kept lawn, it feels incredibly cozy. Bathed in the warm New England sun, the property genuinely looks like a bright, picturesque Thomas Kinkade-style painting of ordinary, peaceful American neighborhood life. It simply looks like a perfectly normal family home. But honestly, from my perspective, that picture-perfect, innocent exterior is exactly what makes the reality of the Snedeker house so deeply unsettling. The contrast is just jarring, because while it looks like a serene suburban retreat by day, the horrifying history baked into its foundation refuses to be ignored. You can be standing on the sunny front porch, but the moment you think about what is directly below your feet, that freezing basement where the embalming room, the blood drains, and the coffin lifts used to be, that suffocating dread rushes right back in. The entities that terrorized this family didn't come from a movie script. They were born from a very real, very dark history of death. The Snedeker house proves that the most terrifying portals to the other side can be hidden in the most normal-looking neighborhoods. Thanks for joining me on this case here on True Haunt Lore, and I'll catch you in the next mystery.